Hi guys, Matthew from Warrior Pilgrim, and back in the garage with the hockey stick, because I thought I might address something that I'm pretty sure many people will be very confused about. I say in my video, basically reviewing Ricky Gervais's views on religion, that I don't mind an edgy comedian. And yet all of a sudden I'm saying, this one's not right. I can understand the controversy there, or the hypocrisy. Simply because I don't mind an edgy comedian, I don't mind someone talking about nasty stuff like sex, swearing, and all that manner of stuff. And yet the moment someone turns to religion, ooh, no. And I point out actually not the case. Because, well, firstly, I always like comedians that don't mind pushing the boat out. Granted, there are people like, what's his name? Tim Hawkins, we've got Tim Vine, we've got those two, both Christians, both occasionally use God in their work. But there's also people like Milton Jones, who is a born-again Christian. I didn't know that until quite a while ago, and I really enjoy his material. And he said that, well, he doesn't use profanity and stuff like that in his works. As a result, his act is open to so many people. He literally had at one of his gigs a family, a businessman, a goth. It's such a diverse range of people he can have at his comedy shows. It's just amazing. The moment you start going to edgy content, you need a fan base, a dedicated fan base, but a fan base nevertheless. If you don't get that, you're instantly starting to go down the pan. That's why some edgy comedians just don't get that. There are some that just simply try to be edgy, think that's comedy, and no, they get shouted off stage. It happens. But there are people like Jimmy Carr who are fairly edgy and do pretty well. Thing is, he's diverse about it and doesn't particularly mind who digs that. But here's the thing. I'd like to point out two things that pretty much point out the difference between what some comedians do, who like to be edgy, and other comedians, I don't always know their names because I don't really bother with them, who literally take the mick out of religion and make that most of their act. That's not being edgy, that's taking a dig. I'll explain the difference in a moment. But Jimmy Carr, edgy comedian, he once did a joke about Jesus, Mary and Joseph, and what if Mary was having, well, sleeping with Joseph, as is her wifely duties, and what if she's out? The moment you look into that seriously, you know full well, no, that's not going to work, because, well, they wouldn't be using those sort of phrases back in those days. Put it in the context now, you'd understand that. Dave Gorman, he did something very good when trying to revamp the Gregorian calendar into what I like to term the gourmetic calendar. He answered a question about things that don't stand the same time of the year, like, say, Easter. Yes, just a variable feast day, so it changes every year. But this time, we're going to nail Easter down. I like that one, because it's one of those that doesn't kickstart the laugh, it's one that sort of ripples through the room. Because people are getting it at different times. The way I think about it is if you attack someone and clip their elbow, clip their funny bone, that's not going to end the fight by any stretch of the imagination, but it is going to numb your hand, make it very difficult for you to recover, and thus it can put you on the back foot. It's that sort of clever play of words. Even Ricky Gervais, the person I was complaining about in my video, he had a very neat way of dealing with it, being edgy, but not taking a total dig at the religious. When he did a set on, yes, it was on Noah's Ark. So what did he do? He took out a children's book. He read it, basically showed them how ridiculous it was. That is perfectly fine. That's literally attacking the straw man, not attacking the man itself. That is perfectly reasonable and something I accept. So I cannot in any way fault him for that.
Just jumping in during the edit to say, knowing Ricky's reluctance to temper any of his comedy for the sake of people's feelings, simply because he doesn't want to step out of his line, I don't think he did this intentionally, but he merely had what was on hand. Either way, intentional or not, he did a good job of it. That's why I accept it so well. And indeed, Rowan Atkinson said that it is the duty of comedians to offend if needs be, since that can often get the best laughs out of comedy.
For that, it's the moment people start seriously taking things too far. That's when it becomes not an edge, but a dig. What's the difference? Well, this is the perfect weapon to describe it. An edge would be striking with this side. It's a bit of a curve, you can get a decent edge on it, and when you do, if you overcompensate, if you mistime it, or it doesn't land properly, you can still slice with it, and it can glide off, you can pull back, and you can come back again. Still landing multiple strikes of it, even if they don't connect fully, you can still get decent movement out of it, and show you're capable of fighting. And if someone tries grabbing it, they're still going to cut. If they're going to get offended, it's just going to cause them more injury. This side, this is the dig. This is when you're literally mocking things. Mocking it just to let people laugh. And doing it deliberately as well. This is when you throw a strike and it has to land well. It has to be aimed at just the right spot. Just the right audience, if you will. It can't be a general joke. That's why that stuff gets shouted out of context constantly. You get that all the time. I allow it on YouTube as well. That happens. People just take clips, people take reels, slap them on the websites. They get taken out of context. I don't blame them for that. The moment they try doing it at set audiences that clearly do not like that sort of attack, you're in trouble. And if someone gets involved to try and grab it, nothing else here is going to hurt them. Granted, it could slap and just hurt, but the moment they get a hold, that's the diggy part. When they grab hold, there's not really a lot you can do. You have to either completely retract or just surrender. So to either overly commit or surrender. You don't really have many other options in that case. This is a dig that if you fail to land it properly, or if they have to respond and actually get a good grip, you are in trouble.
I used my hockey stick to demonstrate firstly a sword, and then for the digging part a warhammer, which can easily get stuck in armour, as is demonstrated in the thumbnail I went for this video. Other weapons could easily be the mace, which Robin Swords did a brilliant video on. I recommend checking that out, showing about how if you don't hit quite right with the mace, it's going to be ineffective, and all you have to do is pull back and attack again, whereas normally you would slice with a sword or anything with an edge. Hence showing if you want to make a solid impact, you need to know your weapon.
So that's just a slight warning for people who happen to be interested in going to comedy. By all means, be edgy, but tailor it to your audience. If you sense something's going to be off, be careful what you say. Gary Delaney did this in one of his videos. I certainly saw that. He put out a few jokes. People laughed, they responded well. He was like, right, I know my audience, these are the jokes I'm doing. And it worked well. Know your audience. The moment you start mocking, the moment you start being annoyed, they'll just tear you down. And ultimately, You need your audience to enjoy you and not be put off by your mere name before you can make it big in comedy. I wouldn't know exactly because I'm not a comedian, but as an audience member, I've been to a couple of comedy gigs. If you have the right material and aim at the right people, you can indeed get a good following. And that's how you succeed. So remember that, my friends. Keep laughing. Keep an open mind. Stay safe. And God be with you.